for Baltimore as Lamar Jackson back at home in South Florida. He's thrown 18 touchdowns in 5 career games against the Dolphins, the second most touchdown passes by any quarterback in his first 5 against the team since 1950, trailing only George Blanda. That's back in the day. Damien Woody, so good to have him with us in studio on Thursday. And last year, you might remember, I just couldn't quit the Bengals. And this year at 1-5, I said, Baltimore is a team I won't quit because I think they're going to be just fine. Here they are with a convincing victory with not just Lamar back, but a bunch of pieces on defense on all levels that are coming back healthy. Are you as bullish on Baltimore long-term as I am?
Initially, I said Baltimore was done. I was ready to stick the fork in Baltimore, but what we've seen from Baltimore is, again, like you said, they're getting healthy. The key for Baltimore is their defense. Their defense, those guys on the defensive side of the football getting healthy and playing the style of football, the brand of football that we've been used to with the Baltimore Ravens. Remember last year, it had a similar type of situation where the defense was bad. Then they moved Kyle Hamilton back kind of, in the deep part of the secondary. Things started to stabilize and that defense really took off. You can kind of start seeing now this defense starting to stabilize something.
We were there in Baltimore for a Monday night game against Detroit where they just could not get off the field. And they couldn't get stops against anyone. Tonight they hold Miami to 6, and I understand Miami largely this season has been on the struggle bus. But, look, this is a giant step in the right direction from the defense, and obviously Lamar changes the calculus entirely. As we're watching upstairs earlier, there was a play that you said is above the X's and the O's. We're going to look at it. I want you to explain to me what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's literally Lamar Jackson. You see the pocket, the Miami Dolphins, the pocket starting to clap. And Lamar Jackson, this is just vintage Lamar Jackson. Here he is, just escaping the pocket, keeping his eyes down the field, and just making, one of those plays that's above the X's and O's. There's only a few quarterbacks that can go out here and do that type of play that Lamar Jackson just did right there. And
it's the patience to know where the line of scrimmage is and to float on it. I think that's where you see him evolve. We got to visit with Coach Harbaugh earlier this year in advance of Countdown, and he just talked about the IQ and the evolution of sort of his understanding of the game. And I think you saw it off schedule, ad-libbing, much like Patrick Mahomes the other night on Monday Night Football. Jackson, we get it. An MVP is going to make him better.
That's right.
On the other side of things for Miami, look, man, they beat Atlanta last week, and RC and I on Monday were like, hey, man, give them credit for a professional effort.
Right.
But tonight, man, there's just one mistake after another, and this has happened far too often, hasn't it, Damien?
Yeah, I mean, this is what bad teams do, to be honest with you. Bad teams, they make bad plays, whether you're talking about 2 fumbles, you go for it on 4th down, deep in the, opposition territory, you jump off sides. Like, there's just so many plays that you can look at the Miami Dolphins and say, if they just played clean ball, we might have who knows what this game could have been. But, again, bad teams make bad plays at bad times.
Yeah, and I think, look, whether it's this week in the bye, or we've heard that Miami's going to have patience with Mike McDaniel, I think we could see that something's going to have to change.
There's going to be changes.
They're pot committed on Tua, man. He got that money, and it just seems like something will change there. I just want to bring it back to Baltimore just to ask one question as it relates to the division, because Pittsburgh jumped out to a decent start. They've lost a couple in a row. If you just were to compare Baltimore to Pittsburgh, do you see Baltimore as the clearly superior team?
Yes, I think Baltimore is the best team in the division. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, what did I tell you up there? They're old and slow.
Yeah.
They are old and slow, particularly on the defensive side of the football. They spent more money on the defensive side of the football than any other team in the National Football League, and they can't stop a nosebleed right now. And so if you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have a Steelers offense that is not really explosive and a defense that can't stop anyone. And Baltimore getting Lamar Jackson back, and this defense is starting to round into form. Should be very, very worried if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and I mean, we take a look at the schedule as it sets up for Pittsburgh as it relates to Baltimore, and Baltimore's schedule gets considerably more manageable. I never use the word easy in the National Football League, but theoretically more manageable. And just a night like tonight, this is what good teams do against bad teams. They beat them, and they beat them with relative ease, and this is what we expect to see from Baltimore throughout the year, and I would presume moving forward.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is great. Well, you got a 10-day, you got a 10-day mini bye. So now your quarterback get even more healthy along with the other guys on the defensive side.
All right, more to come as we look ahead towards Week 9 in the National Football League with Damien in just a bit. And this is what we were just talking about as it relates to the Ravens. And they were, look, before they even beat Chicago last week, I believe they were still favored at ESPN Bet Sportsbook to win the AFC North. And after the victory tonight and Pittsburgh struggling just a bit, now you have Baltimore as a minus 140 to win the North.
I said it's been a long journey, man. It's been a hard road, you know, and not just the 30 days, but even before that, you know. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the way he came out and played, you know, and proud of the way Tyler played last week. Both those two guys played well. I think T. Martin deserves a lot of credit. You know, he did a great job with those guys, and Monk and the offensive coaches. I thought the game plan. I thought what we've done with the offense the last 2 weeks has been really good, really excellent. So we got to keep building off that.
You see the first 100 starts. This is good company to be keeping. You're on there with the Snake, Ken Stabler, Roger Staubach, legend, Tom Brady, GOAT, Patrick Mahomes, potential GOAT. You're right there in the middle for the first 100 starts, 72 victories. These are among quarterbacks since 1950. Lamar and Baltimore, again, favored to win that division, and he is expected to join us here on SportsCenter. Sees a return to action for Lamar Jackson, the first time since week 4. As you might surmise, he makes quite a difference when he's available, especially to Mark Andrews. Here on a 4th and goal, great play design. He finds his guy. Touchdown Ravens on a 4th down, and the lead is 7-3. They do not look back. This is a beautiful play design. Jackson, there's his man, and it's Andrews for the second time. It's a great play design, and a couple of Dolphins run into one another, and that's going to give 89 all the room he needs to find the end zone. Third quarter, same score. It's a 3rd and 6. That's the money down in this league. And this is Jackson. Nowhere to go. Oh, I can go to the 50 on a run. Hamstring looks great. One tight end's already caught 2. Where's my guy, Charlie? Charlie Kohler there. And it's the Ravens cruising. And then here, clean pocket. Time to climb that pocket and find Rashad Bateman. 3 touchdown passes, went under duress, the most in any game by a quarterback this season. And the Ravens go on to the victory. And Lamar Jackson is joining us now. Lamar, hey, it's Scott Van Pelt. Thanks for taking a minute to be with me here on the show back at home in South Florida. And I've heard athletes say that the hardest thing to do, man, is to listen to your body and let your body tell you when you're good enough to get back to it. How difficult was it to buy the time you needed to be as healthy as you were tonight?
Yeah, you know, it's tricky. It's a hamstring injury, and I never had a hamstring injury before, but I just know if I want to go back out there and compete with my guys, man, I got to let it heal up a little, and that's how we did.
Your defense is getting healthier, too. Earlier, Damien Woody was with me, and, you know, whether it's Kyle Hamilton or Queen or whomever, I mean, there's just everybody's looking different out there. Roquan, I beg your pardon. Guys just look different in terms of their level of health. Just across the board, how does your group feel as you guys look down the road at this next, say, 6-week stretch?
We feel good. You know, like you said, we got everybody coming back healthy. We just got to stay dialed in, you know, and know what's ahead of us, knowing it's do or die right now. Starting the season off extremely slow. We've never been in this situation, not since I've been here, but, you know, we just got to lock in and keep doing what we're doing.
On the show a few weeks ago, you guys are like 1-5, and I'm sitting right out here, and look, I say some dumb stuff, but I thought I was saying something smart. I said, I'm not quitting on the Ravens. They're going to get healthy, and they're going to come out of their bye, and they're going to be fine. What was the mood like up there in the castle, right? Because you guys are banged up, and you've never been in this spot. How organizationally do you guys just stay calm and know we're going to be okay in time?
Just knowing where we are in the place of the LLC right now, you know, God just stayed dialed in, knowing, like I said before, do or die. God just didn't get complacent, you know, everybody in meetings locked in, go to the practice field, we locked in, treating everything like a game situation. And then so we can come out and perform on Thursdays like we did tonight, or Sundays, Mondays, whichever day it is.
It's impossible, Lamar, for me not to think about that video back in the day where you put on the brakes at the goal line, right, and you just walk in and it's high school. And I feel like there's times even, you know, at this level, even at this level, Lamar, there's times when you just make the game look so impossibly slowed down like you're living in the Matrix. Just to be back out there with your guys tonight, just how do you describe the feeling of being able to be out there and to compete again and lead your guys to the victory?
I feel awesome, man. No other place I'd rather be, just to be out there with my guys and performing, man. And shout out to the defense, offense, offensive line, all the skill positions, special teams, because we got it done. Just got to keep going.
All right. Well, I know you got your folks there, and back at home there. That's what I'm going to close with. Just that young man back in the day is now an MVP and playing at the very highest level. To be there, to be back where it all started. What is a night like that like?
Man, it feel great. I just told the guys at the podium earlier, last time we played here, like 2021, we didn't play a good game. We lost against these guys. Some of the same guys on the defense. But this time we prevailed. We got the dub. And it's always good to come home and get a win.
Yeah, and then you get that mini bye, so maybe you hang out for a bit. I don't know, whatever your day, whatever your travels may take you, stay well, stay healthy. I appreciate you taking a minute to say hello and tell everybody up there in Baltimore I send my best, all right?
Appreciate you, Mr. Scott, always.
Yes, sir.
With this being a mini bye, the weekend off, also the trade deadline looming on Tuesday, do you have concerns for Mike, for players that might get dealt with this team now 2-7?
I would say that's above my pay grade. I let those guys upstairs worry about that and do what they need to do in terms of how we're working things with the team. So, yeah.
Damien Woody back as we look down the road to the rest of Week 9. And on paper, and I would presume on the field, the most intriguing game is Kansas City and Buffalo. They meet so often. Buffalo's beat them a bunch in the regular season, but, I mean, until they beat them in January, I'm curious, outside of the entertainment, what's the significance of a game like this if you're Buffalo?
Well, listen, I think for the first time in like 6 years, Buffalo is actually staring up within the division in the AFC East. You got the New England Patriots now are in the first place team in the division. So if you're Buffalo, you need to keep stacking AFC wins because this Patriots team is no joke. They got a quarterback he's playing like an MVP, Scott. Mm-hmm. So if you're Buffalo, you're going to get a huge test with this Kansas City Chiefs team that has its full complement of weapons. Yeah. I don't think the Buffalo Bills has ever seen Kansas City with all these weapons at their disposal. I
feel like with both Baltimore and with Kansas City, reports of the demise greatly exaggerated because who they are likely to become tournament time is teams you don't want anything to do with. Now, you mentioned that New England team. They've already gotten a victory in Orchard Park over Buffalo. You mentioned May, their quarterback, and Vrabel's a guy that I'm admittedly in the tank for and always have been, but they have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. I mean, there are a lot of things to love about the Patriots. How bullish are you on them?
Listen, I said before the season that the Patriots are going to make the playoffs. I think they're ahead of schedule. I mean, they got a good shot of winning this division, winning the AFC East because of their quarterback. The quarterback is playing, again, he's playing like an MVP candidate. He's elevating guys around him, whether you're talking about Keyshawn Butte, Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas, all these guys. By the way, they're playing with 2 rookies on the left side of the offensive line, and he's just been playing masterful football.
Yeah, that's a great point about elevating because, I mean, in a league filled with true wide receiver ones, it's more the collection, and it's May who is showing why so many people going into that year at Carolina thought maybe he'd be the number one quarterback in a class. It's obviously with Caleb and Jaden. You've got some dudes, and he and New England looked the part. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you and I were talking about Indianapolis and the opportunity you felt like they had in front of them as they were going out to play a Charger team that's pretty capable. And then they went out there and boat raced them like they do every team they play.
Right.
Best record, biggest point differential. For the 1,000th time, I'll say the schedule gets more difficult from here. But, Damien, they're favorites at Pittsburgh, and I feel like it says something about Indy for sure, but it also says something about Pittsburgh. As you look at that Colts team, are you even a bigger believer now than you were a couple weeks ago?
Absolutely. I'm not even shocked that the Indianapolis Colts are favored going against this Pittsburgh Steelers team, primarily because, and listen, we'll get to the Colts in a second. This Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they're old and slow, Scott. Yeah. You just watch them. They're the most expensive defense in the National Football League. They got a bunch of guys that are, quite frankly, on the back of a milk carton right now, whether you talk about
crazy
T.J. Watt, Cam Hayes, Hayward. You know, there's a lot of big name guys that you see. You know, teams are boat racing them right now on the defensive side. But speaking of this Indianapolis Colts team, listen, they got an MVP candidate in Jonathan Taylor. That guy right there is an absolute monster. Okay. Daniel Jones is playing the best of his career by far. They have an elite offensive line, a Pro Bowl to rookie tight end, and really good weapons on the outside. This Colts team, no joke.
He's got more touchdowns than 5 different teams, that one man alone. Yeah. I do think, though, that when you think about Buffalo, Kansas City, and probably Baltimore, that trio, they've earned a certain amount of respect because they've been there and done it. I feel like Indianapolis at some point is going to need to beat someone like that from that food group to really convince themselves that they're that good. Is that fair?
Well, let's just get down to it.
Okay.
This is about Daniel Jones. This is about Daniel. Everybody's like, okay, I want to see him go up head-to-head with the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and let's see if he can go out there and make that happen.
Well, he's going to get that chance because they go visit Kansas City, and while who would have imagined that would be a game that would be that intriguing? Damon, appreciate the time as always.
Appreciate you.
Happy Halloween.
Yep.
What are you handing out? Good stuff? Big bars?
Oh, man, come on. I'm a big dog. You know, I'm going to always have the good stuff.
I know that.